The next two slides talk about the cultural norms for Cape Verdeans. Then I'm going to go into a slide about the communication rules, and then there are two slides about classroom implications. This voiceover is going to cover those next 5 slides, starting with cultural norms. In Cape Verde, the cultural norms. In Cape Verde, the class system doesn't have much variation. A majority of Cape Verde is poor and low income. Cape Verdeans are very generous and caring, and Cape Verdeans are very social, and they strongly value their relationships with others. Culture plays a huge role in the way of life on the Cape Verde Islands. These cultural norms and traditions will still impact those whose families have come to the United States from Cape Verde. Cape Verdeans take pride in their informal language of Creole, which has been previously stated, it differs amongst the different islands. Children are taught at a young age to respect their elders, and parents are very strict with children for behaviors. The next slide shows a map. Cultural norms. Cape Verde has a unique mix of African and European aspects of culture because of its geographic location. People from the northern islands identify more with the Portuguese culture, and people in the southern islands identify more with an African culture. Communication rules. It's been previously stated in pragmatics that Cape Verdeans typically have lengthy, personal introductions with others because Cape Verdeans are very social. Some nonverbal communication norms you might see would be that Cape Verdeans are close talkers. They use physical contact often when communicating. This might look like touching, hand-holding, or hugging. And this is common with both women and men. Classroom implications. Culture plays a major role in a student's learning and school experience, no matter what country their family came from or what their background's like. Cape Verdean is more of a collectivist and high culture context in the United States. In a previous text I read, I'm quoting from Hammond, that in a collectivist culture, learning happens through group interactions and dialogue, as opposed to in the United States, we're more used to an individual study and reading. So many aspects of the Cape Verdean culture are a lot more relaxed. For example, the timing, and a lot more social than the American culture. This could be a conflict in the United States classrooms. The teacher would need to have clear expectations and a way to communicate this information to families. A student would need to know when, throughout the day, it would be acceptable to engage in social conversations with peers. A visual that shows voice levels might be helpful for these students, but it's also helpful to give these students some time to communicate with their peers. A language barrier might be difficult with families that speak Creole. There's many different dialects of this informal language, and some words might not be able to translate correctly. A translator will be needed to communicate with families, and technology can sometimes be used. Whether a Cape Verdean student is new to the United States or not, they may be going through stages of cultural accommodation. So it's super important to just create a safe and nurturing classroom environment that promotes language development for these students. English language learners, students, benefit from clear language, clear expectations, and visuals. A successful teacher would not allow cultural diversity to become a barrier in family engagement in the classroom.